Guys, my name is Moti, and in this video we're going to talk about different types of breath practices and teaching according to the micro-movement method, which is a combination of movement, breath practice, microdosing, and exposure to elements. And let's dive deep into it. But in this video we're actually not going to dive deep, we're going to be quite basic just to understand the different types of breath practices and their benefits. The first one we should start with is Breath of Fire and Kapalabhati, Shining Skull. So there are two breath practices that many people combine or mix or just don't understand the subtle differences. One of them is Kapalabhati, which means shining skull, and the other one is Breath of Fire, also known as Bhastrika. That's the yogic term. And I'll explain briefly and shortly first Kapalabhati, and then you'll very simply understand the differences. So Kapalabhati talks about cleansing the tubes, the air canals, basically. And it focuses on the exhale from the nose, but it's not about exhaling from the nose like... It's about pushing the diaphragm like a little bit like you're being punched, and thinking about squeezing the lower belly and allowing the air just to flow and come out from the nose very subtly. It's almost like pushing a button. And it could be done faster, slower, quicker, stronger. It could be really like almost aggressively, like a fight, like you want something out. That's why it's also cleansing. And it could be soft and elegant sometimes, not really that intimidating, like and it's kind of good for cleansing after sometimes you feel a bit swollen or too much. That's pretty much one of the general benefits of Kapalabhati. But many times people confuse it with Breath of Fire, because if you do Kapalabhati fast, it almost looks like Breath of Fire. The main difference with Breath of Fire is that you inhale strongly and exhale strongly. In Kapalabhati, the exhale is just gravity. It's just you pump something and it inhales back naturally, right? You don't think about inhaling. While in Breath of Fire, Bhastrika, it also is being done with a specific meditation. You need to visualize or imagine some coal or red light or red energy or heat in the base of the spine. And that's why it's called Breath of Fire. And it's very different when you think about it. It's and again, it's not from the nose, it's from the stomach, so from the belly. So many times it looks a bit similar, but it's totally different. Another breath practice that is very common and many people know about it is rebirthing, or also known as circular breathing. Rebirthing is a technique that is usually being done around an hour, 3 rounds, but each round is around 15 to 20 minutes. You finish one round, you relax, you do another round, and it is made out of circular breathing. So you inhale and exhale. Again, I'm not sure if it really matters if you do it from the nose or from the mouth. And you just do not stop. It's not like box breathing. When you stop, you just... Again, diaphragmatic breathing, deep belly, chest. And it usually quite quickly can become very psychedelic and intense. Some people have visuals, some people have access emotions, memories, can access traumas, unprocessed emotions. And it's some sort of a therapy, could be some sort of therapy, but also could trigger or be not really the proper solution in some cases. For example, some people with PTSD, or maybe if it's very fresh, maybe it's not time to what you call wake up the dead. or maybe it should be done in a very specific environment. So also don't think that each breath practice is definitely healing and good for us. It could also be very risky. So that's rebirthing. Some people also know holotropic breath practice, developed by Stan Grof in the 60s. He was one of the pioneers of psychedelic research, and when he could not continue the research, then he found other alternatives, which is very similar because with a lot of breath practices, it does become very psychedelic. It's not exactly like rebirthing, it's a different method a bit. It's very similar. So I'm not sure if it should have two different names, but someone else developed it, so I respect it, and I definitely think he's a very well-known persona in the world of psychedelics, and this practice is important. And I know also it's not really about a specific pace. No one tells you what pace you should breathe in. It comes naturally. It has a lot of process and preparation before it. And it's definitely important, but basically rebirthing in holotropic breathworks does the same thing to the body. And that's where you kind of want to think about it. What does the breath practice do to the body? Think of breathing as a tool. And then another breath practice that we cannot ignore, the Wim Hof method. Right, Wim is awesome, he's great, and you wonder, should the method have a name? Is it not just rehashing another breath practice? Is it not just Bastrika? Is it not circular breathing? And that's where I'm thinking about the aim and the breathing method as a tool. And in that sense, it definitely has a meaning and practice and a reason why to use it and when to use it. So first of all, you can never really talk about Wim Hof breathing technique without the cold. You can do it without the cold, but for leaving it out of the equation is a bit misleading, right? It's a breath practice that helps you tap into deeper neurology, deeper physiology, and eventually can also withstand the cold, change the O2, CO2 blood composition, so the blood is more alkaline. Basically, it's not just the breathing, because the breathing itself is not exactly circular breathing. I'll show you why. It's very similar to it, but it's not exactly circular breathing, but it's also the breath retention and the squeeze. So let's say the default is 3 rounds. It could be more. It could be 4 or 5 rounds, and it should be around 30 breaths. And also it could be 50, 40, 60 breaths also. It depends on you and what you want to achieve from it. It's not about the specific number, it's about what it does to our body, right? And then you think about it. So let's say 3 rounds, each round has 30 breaths, then you stop, retent from breathing for 1 minute, 1.5, whatever. When you feel the urge to breathe, then you breathe. And then squeeze from the pelvis all the way up. And some breath practices do the opposite, squeeze down in 2 more meditation. So specifically in Wim Hof breathing, the squeeze goes up and you definitely feel the rush of blood flow and maybe even some noradrenaline and maybe even some other unknown chemicals that they're not for this video. So in that sense, the Wim Hof method definitely should deserve a name, and it's easily you can see the difference between Bastrika pranayam, Kapalabhati pranayam, rebirthing, and holotropic breath practice. It has different aims and also just specific conditions. It's not just the breathing, it's also the breath retention and the squeezing that makes it unique and definitely deserve its own name. These are all parts of breath practices we're practicing here, part of micro movement, but it's something that pretty much anyone can do, but do it smartly, do it intentionally, and understand what you're trying to reach. That's it. Hope this video makes some difference and made some sense and some clarity in all the mess and mumbo jumbo of breath practice. My name is Moti, micro movement method. See you next time.